Friends, where were you all on Saturday night when the most shocking trade in NBA history came down? I had to make sure Shams didn't get hacked. That really is not hyperbole, because we have never seen two reigning All-NBA players swapped for each other midseason, and the entire world took notice.
LeBron said he was going to come to the Lakers. From that day forward till February 1st, 2025, everything the Lakers did was about LeBron. Now, it is going to be about Luka.
It appeared earlier in the 2024-25 season that the NBA was starting to lose its steam a bit amongst fans. Many had think pieces at the ready as to why the league was beginning to fall off. However, all it took was one insane trade that very well could have saved the league and given the NBA the face of the league they had been desperately looking for years. Today, we are going to break down how the Luka Dončić trade may have saved the NBA. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can be tuned in for the hottest stories and takes in the NBA. The second that the deal was announced, social media broke out into a firestorm. At first, many believed that it simply could not be true, and
I do want to bring in the man who reported this news, our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, I am so glad that you're with us to help make sense of the Lakers' side of all of this.
This didn't become an actuality until the Mavericks formally offered Luka Dončić to the Lakers recently. And when you get offered Luka Dončić, it's hard, but make no mistake, Luka Dončić for the next 10 years is going to be the face of that Lakers organization.
Renowned NBA analyst Shams Charania had simply had his Twitter account hacked. But once the truth had finally set in that the Los Angeles Lakers and Dallas Mavericks had made one of the biggest blockbuster deals in NBA history, people could not get enough. Speculating on how the young star would mesh alongside LeBron James and attempting to figure out the rationale from Mavs GM Nico Harris and the team's front office on how they could give up their star franchise player and one of the top talents in the entire league. The deal sent Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Lakers, Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 Lakers first-round pick to the Mavericks, and Jalen Hood-Schifino and a Los Angeles Clippers 2025 second-round pick to the Utah Jazz. Fans could not wait to see the new look Lakers take the court, and this was a perfect storm for the NBA, coming just a little over a week before the NFL season came to a close. Doncic made his Laker debut just one day after the Super Bowl on February 10th. With no other big-ticket sporting events on that night, the whole world tuned in to see the NBA's newest duo. Throughout the contest, viewership averaged 2.01 million viewers on ESPN. This made it the most watched NBA game on cable since November 12th, 2024, when the Mavericks took on the Golden State Warriors in Klay Thompson's return to the Bay, with the contest averaging 2.14 million viewers. This was a must-watch game for not only die-hard basketball fans, but even the casual NBA viewer. Fans had been hyping up Luka's debut for almost an entire week, and the excitement for his first game had not died down at all by the time it finally came around. Excluding ABC simulcasts, this ranked as the second most watched game of the season, behind only the previously mentioned Warriors-Mavs contest in November. But it has not just been Laker games that have seen a huge uptick in viewership, and this has been a trend that has been seen league-wide. The second biggest deal by far, with Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors. This was a deal that had been brewing for a long time, with Butler having clear issues with Miami's front office in a standoff that was ugly for both sides. While Jimmy brought the Heat an immense amount of success during his time on the roster, including 2 trips to the NBA Finals, it was clear that things between the two sides had fallen through, and it was time for them to part ways. For the Warriors, they had been trying to find a suitable co-star to put beside Stephen Curry since Kevin Durant left the team in the offseason leading up to the 2020 season. The full deal sent Butler, 2 second-round picks, and cash to the Warriors: Kyle Anderson, Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and a 2025 Warriors first-round pick to the Heat, KJ Martin, Josh Richardson, 2 second-round picks, and cash to the Jazz, and Dennis Schroeder, Lindy Waters III, and a second-round pick to the Detroit Pistons. Another 3-team deal that likely will not have much of an impact on this season, but could have some major implications on the league in the future, took place between the Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs, and Chicago Bulls in a deal that sent De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin to the Spurs, Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, 3 first-round picks, and 3 second-round picks to the Kings, and Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and a first-round pick to the Bulls. The duo of the future of Fox and Victor Wembanyama is a very intriguing one. While Wemby has been sidelined for the remainder of the season, once he makes a return to action, It could be very scary to see what the two, along with future Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle, and whoever they take with their first-round pick in the 2025 draft, are able to achieve together. These were by far the three biggest deals of the trade deadline, and fans around the world were ready to tune in to see how all of the new pieces around the NBA would mesh together.
So when you see this downward 8-year NBA trajectory, it's been gradual.
Yes.
Half America stopped watching a wildly popular league.
Yeah.
So when Michael Jordan left the NBA, but I mean, when he basically left the Bulls,
Okay.
the league lost 50% of its ratings.
Yeah.
And the reason being is they just didn't have the next star. They had Iverson and Marbury, and the consumers were like, meh.
Yeah.
In the month of February, viewership has been a double-digit jump compared to the month prior. And it is very difficult to accredit this to anything outside of the hype around this year's trade deadline that was sparked from the deal that landed Luka in LA. Circling back to the matchup between the Lakers and Jazz and Luka's debut, this game peaked at 2.55 million viewers. An insane number when taking into account that it took place on a Monday, just one day after the Super Bowl. This was television's top program of the night, and it unsurprisingly performed very well with key adult and male demographics. As we get closer and closer to the postseason, there's a chance that these numbers continue to rise. However, while these blockbuster deals were the exact jumpstart in viewership that the league was fiending for, there is still a fair amount of work to do. Compared to just last year, viewership is still down by 5%. But when taking into account just how bleak things were looking before the trade deadline, this is definitely a step in the right direction. Prior to these blockbuster deals, viewership had dropped an insane 19% at one point compared to just last year. While they are making strides to regain their title as the fastest growing league in all of major sports, it is clear that one trade deadline for the books is not enough. The league still needs to find its face and replenish the stars around the league. A generation of players who used to headline marquee matchups night in and out like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Chris Paul are getting to a point in their careers where it is time for them to pass on the torch. However, with some of them still dominating the league, it has been very difficult for almost any of the league's younger stars to truly take over and fight for the title of face of the league.
The Lakers want LeBron James to be a mentor of sorts, someone that can help Luka Doncic continue to develop the right habits, develop everything on and off the court.
And I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's a controversial statement. I think that's something the Lakers organization needed to do. I don't know if they knew how they were going to do it, but now they have their transition in place.
But make no mistake, Luka Doncic for the next 10 years is going to be the face of that Lakers organization.
But there could be something brewing in LA with Luka, having one of the NBA's most promising young talents, who has already proven himself as an elite performer, even on the league's biggest stage in the NBA Finals last year, is a story so good for the league that even the NBA's top scriptwriters could not craft it up. Since Dončić joined the team, Lakers games have once again been a must-attend event in Los Angeles, and the stars have once again begun to pack the courtside seats. For the remainder of the season, the Lakers will be the hottest show in town, and it is clear that the organization is well aware of this fact. Since the trade deadline, ticket prices have already jumped by a ridiculous 19%, especially when taking into account that the only major change to the roster since then has been the acquisition of Doncic. And with him only being in his mid-20s, it appears as if the biggest team in basketball has found their franchise cornerstone for years to come, and they will likely have another decade as one of the league's premier teams. With the recent success of the league this month, it raises the question of if this trend is sustainable, or if once stars like Luka and Butler get settled in on their new teams, will people begin to not care? This is a problem that the league runs into almost every year, and a reason why the NBA has considered shortening the regular season. With the year being 82 games before the postseason, it makes each game relatively meaningless in the grand scheme of things, outside of a few teams who wind up making or missing the postseason by a couple of games. As a result of this, many do not tune into the NBA until just a few weeks before the playoffs begin, or once postseason play is underway, outside of situations like this, where a few blockbuster trades have sent stars to new teams. It is clear that the league still has some work to do, and they have tried to make the regular season more interesting with things like the in-season tournament, but viewership numbers have shown that even that is not enough to keep a worldwide audience consistently engaged for a full 82-game season. It seems as if the only way for the current viewership numbers they have achieved this month to be sustainable is going back to the brand of basketball that made the game popular and taking efforts to make more of the league's top talents household names and stars like they were when the game was at its peak viewership. This is much easier said than done, but this month has shown that when big things are happening in the NBA, the league will be tapped in. The Lakers have quickly become one of the most exciting teams in the league and one that the world will be watching for the rest of the season. With LA likely being the team that the league leans on the most to keep viewers engaged this season, it raises the question, will they be able to live up to these expectations? Since Dončić joined the team, it is clear that he has been trying to bounce back from the injuries that kept him sidelined for a good chunk of his final months in Dallas while finding his role on his new team. He has looked far from the perennial MVP candidate he was on the Mavericks, averaging just 19.0 points. 9.0 rebounds, 7.0 assists, and 1.8 steals per game while shooting a very rough 38.1% from the field, 25.0% from three, and 75.0% from the field. He has showed the versatility of his game. Along with this, even with his well below average shooting splits, the Lakers have gone 3-2 with him on the court. With the lack of big men and depth at the center position, they could be in real trouble during the playoffs. But with a very impressive 23-point win over the Denver Nuggets, they have shown flashes of being true contenders this season. But what do you think? Will the league be able to make a comeback with these deals? Will the Lakers be able to make a run for the title this year with Luka on their roster? Let us know in the comments and be sure to like and subscribe so you can tune in for the next video.